Hi, this is Bookish Clara, and today we're gonna talk about the story of Simchang. So there was this couple who worried about not having a kid, a seemingly widespread problem in the olden days. Thankfully, after a mystical dream, they managed to give birth to a beautiful daughter. They named her Simchang. However, this rosy picture went to pieces as first, Simchang's mother died of an illness, and second, Simchang's father lost his sight due to an illness. Hereafter, Simchang's father is usually called Simbongsa, which can be roughly translated as blind man Sim. Simchang's father raised her with love and care despite his physical difficulty. In some stories, he carries her around town begging milk of sympathetic mothers. When Simchang turns 7 years old, she becomes the main breadwinner of the family. One day, Simchang got delayed doing some work. Worried, her father went out to look for her. Unsurprisingly, he ended up falling and getting stranded in a ditch. Thankfully, a monk passing by gave him a helping hand and even gave him some mystical advice. He said, "Oh, I see you're blind. So sad. Except, there is a way to fix it." Of course, Mr. Sim was hooked. "What is it, O sage monk?" he asked. "Well, if you donate 300 sacks of rice to the temple, you and your daughter will end up doing very well." Since 300 sacks of rice were roughly $1 gazillion back then, Mr. Sim shook his head disappointed. "Just kidding." He went and swore on the spot to deliver the rice. "Geez, I'm just glad you never met any door-to-door salesman." Of course, when he got back to his senses, he promptly fell to the ground and wailed something along the lines of, "What have I done?" When Simchang returned to find her father tearing out his hair, she asked him what was the problem. When he told her about his rash promise, she didn't start tearing out his hair with him, like I might have done. The girl's an angel. Anyway, she did a sensible thing and prayed really hard. That night, an old monk appeared to her in her dreams. Always a good omen, she woke up to find the job opportunity had just turned up for a young maiden. To put it simply, they were looking for a human sacrifice to throw into the ocean. A great way to ensure safe traveling, apparently. Noble angelic Simchang was like, "Yes, I will willingly throw myself into the waves and become a lonely soul wandering the sea," or something like that. Obviously, she was a much better daughter than me. She put off telling her father the news until the day she left. When she finally did, her father wailing begged her to give up on the plan, but Simchang gently pried him off and boarded the ship. Then she threw herself off the bow. The end. Just kidding, we barely got into half of the story. Simchang was rescued by the maidens who served the Sea King. She was brought to the palace of the Sea King where she takes a fishy drug and learns that she was the daughter of a Sea King in her past life. Her father was also an important deity or something. Plus, all her trials and suffering turned out to be some great test. Which is good, I guess? This kind of, first, the protagonist gets rescued halfway through the story. Second, takes some magic drug. 3, receives an info dump about their past life that says they were some person or deity who was reborn and put through trials for some objective. Happens all the time. This info dump never has anything to do with the plot. Moving on. In the info dump, she is also told that she and her father will become people of high standing in some country or other. Simchang takes leave of the palace via Flower Express. She basically holds him inside a boat floating around waiting for rescue. She is eventually picked up by some passers-by and taken to the king, because, well, nobody knew what else to do. When the flower finally blooms, Simchang is revealed in all her glory. Of course, the king proposes to her, and boom, she's instantly elevated to queen. This is all well and good, but Simchang is still unhappy. Why? Well, because she's still missing her father. As it has been constantly stressed throughout this sordid affair, she really loves her dad. So what has blind man Sim been up to all this while? Well, he got married for a start, to this awful woman who only married him for his money. Eventually, she runs off with all of Mr. Sim's fortune, leaving him penniless. In case you're wondering, the man she ran off with is also blind. Things could have ended really badly for Mr. Sim if Simchang hadn't come up with a plan to find him. She suggested to her husband that they should hold a feast for the blind. The king, in happy agreement, announced it to the entire country. The impoverished Mr. Sim was more than happy to travel for the free meal. The reunion between father and daughter is tearful and very dramatic. Mr. Sim is of course astonished to find that his daughter is now a queen, and Simchang is just happy to see her father. But there's one thing still amiss. "Father, has your sign now returned?" Simchang asked. It hadn't. which was strange since that was like the whole reason they had gotten into this mess in the first place. Then right on cue, Mr. Sim's eyes snapped open and he could see again. For some reason, there had been a seriously long delay. And around the country, all the blind had their sight restored. Oh, except for that guy who eloped with Mr. Sim's second wife. The end. Phew. The story of Sim Chung is one of the longer Korean stories I've introduced in this channel, but its complexity certainly gives birth to the little details that add spice to the plot. So I hope you enjoyed today's story and I'll see you next time. Bye!